Hello, screenwriters, and welcome to Writing for Screens, the Screenwriting Step-by-Step Project, episode 186. My name is Glenn Gers, and I come to you every Monday through Friday, if I can make it, at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, to let you look over my shoulder, share my screen as I write a script. And I do this in order to teach a part of screenwriting that I think is under-taught, which is the actual day-to-day, line-by-line process of writing the thing. You can talk about a great script or how the business works all you want, but if you can't actually figure out how to get all that stuff in your head into script form in 120 pages or 60 pages or whatever form you're working on, you can't get to greatness. So I want to talk to you about the process, the mechanics of actually figuring out how to write it and writing it in outline, then rough, then rewriting it. Just showing you how I do that in the hope that it will be useful to you, that you'll be able to pick up some trick or technique that you can use when you are facing the blank page. Because that's really all it's about. You've got to figure out your own way to do this. Every single writer has their own way that they have to figure out, their own style. Every script kind of has its own needs. So there's no universal rule that I can tell you. All I can tell you is these are some tips and tricks and skills that I think are very useful to putting together a script. I'm letting you look over my shoulder. Take what you can use, throw away the rest. You don't have to watch all of these 186 hours. Just drop in now and then, see if something clicks for you that you say, oh, that's a cool way to handle that. Or, oh, he has that problem too, and it doesn't make the end of the world. It's all okay. The other thing you should do if you're trying to learn is check out my lesson videos. Here on my channel, you will find a bunch of videos with just a big thumbnail that has some topic, flashbacks, dramatic action. Those are 10-minute lessons that I've really tried to distill down some practical, useful mechanics or theories that you can take and use as you will. You don't have to see everything. You don't have to get the big theory. Just take the pieces and figure out your way to do it. Hey, hi, I write. Hi, Jose. Yes, it's been a while. I was away. For those of you who are watching on video years from now when civilization has been nuked into a disaster area, you're going to say, wait, it's just clicking over to the next one. But it actually has been a week since I was doing this. I had some personal business to attend to, and I did, and all is well. Hi, Natasha. Hope you are doing well. And that said, I'm going to get to work because that's what this is all about, getting the script done, and we are actually really near the end. I actually printed it out this week, just to start to look through it, to get my head around the big picture of what's missing, what does it still need. Hey, Tavana, how are you doing? I'm so glad you're all capped excited. That's great. It's so nice to be back. I was missing you, and I was missing this whole process. So, like I said, having marched my way through the script from beginning to end, just cleaning it up, making it readable, I printed it out and I started to read through it. And the first thing I thought was, oh, now I see. And I really want to emphasize how much this is an important part of the process. There's a lot of stuff you can't figure out until you've done it and then stepped away and come back to it. That's really the key thing. If you do it, step away even just overnight and then come back to it, you'll be amazed how you recognize, oh, this thing that I thought was the most important thing, it's not that important, and what's more, it can move to that other scene. Like, I was looking at the opening scenes, and I have this big, long monologue where I try and jam in all the information. And then what I realized when I was reading through it is, first of all, it's way too much. And second of all, in later scenes, I kept doing placeholders of, oh, I need some of his podcast here. It's all in the first scene. I just have to cut that up and move it in because it's way too many stages in the opening scene right now. I was trying to get too much in. But I couldn't see that while I was writing it, couldn't see it while I was outlining it, couldn't see it when I was doing the rewrite. I had to really get through the whole script and then come back to it. It's really an important part of the process. I cannot emphasize enough. Let me see if I can find this. Yeah. You got to go over it and over it and over it. You don't get it perfect and move on. You get it better and try again. That is my big lesson for today. Okay. So I'm so glad that you guys are here. I kind of thought nobody would come back. Hey, Javier has got some decorations for me. Thank you so much, Javier. I am glad I am back. I'm glad to see all you folks. It's really nice. Okay, so we're down to the last 3 pages. And as I do before I come on, I glanced at them while I was, like in the last 10 minutes before I click go live, I was just looking over the material. And the first thing I noticed was it's a mess. It's got no shape. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about in between saying hi. Hello, Orphe. Thank you so much. Because what we got here is Deacon disconnects. He goes off on his merry way. And the people left in the room and on the Zoom start to argue about what's going to happen. And what happens is the most important point is the realization that they can't actually walk away because now they are potential threats to deacons. And therefore deacons may come after them if they don't come after him. That's the key point of this scene. And yet, what I've got here is, here I get to it where he says, he knows that. Wait, what? Which is the point at which they're saying, we can, and he knows that. And then, sorry, going down here, they say, he's right. If we don't go after him, he's going to come after us. And then they argue about it a little bit. And then they say it again. And then they say it again. Hold on, here. If we don't get. So it's like they're having this realization, but they're having it 4 times. Because there's another one down here. So my point is I've got to figure out where to put the one time it happens and then take out all the other times and put them all in one place. You can't have the same realization 3 or 4 times in a row. It gets, first of all, the character seems stupid. And second of all, the flow of the scene, the dramatic action, is lost because what's happening here is everyone is pushing Madeline to go after him. Madeline is pushing back. So what happens is, at a certain point, someone has to say, it doesn't matter if you push back, if you don't want to go after him, because he's going to come after us. That's a turning point. You can't unturn after she has heard that. Okay. Yes, yeah, you got to reprint. Sometimes I do not want to encourage everyone to print. I happen to like printing now and then, although the saddest thing is now, it used to be you printed it out and you read through it and you marked it up and then you went back. I'm finding more and more, I did print it out. There. I printed it out. And as soon as I started getting into it, I wanted to turn to the computer and work on it. But first of all, you guys weren't watching, so I couldn't do that. And so what I think I'm going to do is just start to make physical notes on it. But sometimes it's easier to just type my notes. Anyway, that's my little muddle about printing since we have gone to such a digital world. I started out in the typewriter world, and I'm still a little stuck on that. Hi, Rachel. Ilya Kazan said, if a script doesn't have it at first draft, the rewrite is not going to change it. Do I? No, obviously, I think that's exactly wrong. I think Ilya Kazan, who was an amazing director, and his books, there's a book of like interviews with him about directing, which is brilliant about directing. However, this statement is dumb. Unless what he's talking about doesn't have it meaning some exciting central feeling and thought. Yeah, that's probably it's possibly true. But really, I think the basic thing that Kazan was talking about is he's talking about the first draft that everyone shares. The first draft that the writer shows to the director and the actor. That's not the first draft. What is considered the first draft by the rest of the world is usually the writer's 10th or 20th draft. And that's the most important thing for me to get through to you. In order to get to what you call the first draft, you have to do your own rough first draft, and then you have to rewrite it a lot of times. Literally 10 to 20 is not outrageous. Sometimes it's just 5, sure, whatever. But nobody that I know of writes the first draft, that's the writer's first draft, and shows it to other people as this is the first draft. Most writers know you have to stop and look at, like I said, go over it, see what works for you, do several rewrites, and then that becomes the first draft. Okay, so boom. Oops. I'm just clean. This is just typing. Clean up. All right. I had originally had it be that on a separate line like that because it was sort of like boom. But now when I was reading it, I was like, that's kind of annoying. And the truth is, I want to tighten it up and make the impact of the line hit right away. This is just my note about what the rest of the scene is. So therefore, all right, this is too soon. So okay, so that's good. All right. And new clues to hunt him with. All right, that's not from there. Let's see where that line goes. He trusted me. Okay, I don't know that I like this. He trusted me. He's a serial killer. I don't know. Just because we can, that's what we mean. Just because we can doesn't mean we should. Actually, that's all. Just because we can doesn't mean we should. So down here, what I'm doing now, for those of you who are trying to figure out, thinking about what I'm thinking about, I wrote down a lot of different lines here, and and they're frankly not in order. I have to figure out. Okay, this we just don't need this. do you mean? What do you mean by evidence? The call is evidence. It is. It can track right. No. We can do it. See, I've got some good lines, but sometimes they are not in the right place. So there's new clues to hunt him with. First of all, did they get new clues? No. Boom. All right. Yeah. Okay. Standing in a. Do I want to say? What I want to say is she's in some water that is suddenly strews. All right. Okay. Maybe it's really just what he said. Maybe he was just reaching out as a human being. Okay, now this is big frickin' mistake, but he just said it was a mistake, so we don't want to go there. If he was. Jose's question is, I think you can guess what I'm going to say. Yeah, making any everything is wrong in writing. Everything should not. There should not be anything in writing where everything is the same. Even the stuff I say about everything being a dramatic action, the truth is, now and then you're going to want to edge around that sometime or change the proportions or stuff. If every character has the tragic backstory, that is weak writing, because while you can look at every human being's life as tragic in some ways, the truth is it's just too much of the same thing. It's like painting a painting and every color is blue. You don't want that. You want a variety. You want conflict and change. You want contrast and what they call dynamics. Dynamics means, like in music, it'll get loud and then soft. It'll get fast and then slow. And this is not a pop song. It just doesn't hit one note and get done in 3 minutes. It's a work of art with a shape, and you want some richness and depth. So yes, making every character backstory tragic is definitely a sign of weak writing. I mean, unless you're talking about like the survivors of an apocalypse, in which case, yeah, they're all tragic, but hopefully you would give them some differences within that. I love printing because I have it in my hands looking at. Yes, that is true. Excellent, good. Also, I would have guessed, Natasha, you like printing just because typewriters, printing. Of course you're going to like it. I do too. It just, for me, the main thing is it helps to look at it a different way. Anything that you can do to change it, to look at it fresh, to sort of rinse out your head. One of the main things that rinses out your head is time and doing something else. Just stepping away, working on a different project, doing something that's not writing. But then when you come back to it, your brain can perceive. Maria! Hey, how are you? Glad you could make it. I'm doing good. I'm in. We're in the last 3 pages. Um, okay, Dundosky. Thank you, Maria. Maria's saying everyone should click the like button, um, which I appreciate. Dundosky has already said. Human being that murders other human beings. Maybe. Sorry, it's kind of obvious. Um, I know. Can you believe it? Almost 8,000. Well, I am moving up there. I know. 8,000 people have said, "Hey, this seems worth listening to." Um, all right. So what I'm looking at here is, I want, if there's any ideas I want to get in here. Who speaks? Um, I think what I need to do, when you get a line like this, there's got to be a little bit of a back and forth, so somebody has to argue with her. McLean has made his point. Um, Now, but Ted can't just repeat that. Um, and the thing about this is, it's not really a great argument. I mean, he's essentially saying uh, this person is no longer a human being because he has crossed line, which, social contract, you can argue that. But but first of all, that's not Ted's nature. Ted is not talking about morality. Ted thinks it's, okay, maybe I wanted to pick up the maybe. Um, hmm, you know, realized that call was a mistake. Gave us more reason to hunt him and more ways and more ways to, and new ways to do it. Okay. He's going to realize that call was a mistake. It gave us more reason to hunt him and new ways to do it. And he's not an idiot. So he's going to want to erase that mistake. Okay. Oh, holy hell. Maybe. Maybe that's it, isn't it? Maybe. Has he been like that so far? Maybe. Can he, maybe. Maybe it's really just what he said. Maybe he was just reaching out as a human. Maybe. So what I'm thinking, there's one thing is you could just say, you could say just like, do you want to risk your life on that or bet your life on that? Or does he want to say, well, maybe, but so far he's been a murderer. So far, maybe he was reaching out, but um, um, actually, I think Tez, I don't buy that whole human being thing. That whole human being thing. That whole, I don't buy that human being act. That human being act with anybody. I don't buy that whole human being. I don't buy the human being. I don't buy that whole human being motive. Um, Thank you, manga. I'm glad to be back. Yeah, I'm back and wrestling. If that's I don't buy it. That whole human being. I don't buy it. Human beings. Can't trust human beings. Human beings are the problem. I don't buy it. That whole human being. That whole human. I don't buy it. That whole human being story. Oh, that whole human being story. That's what people always say. Human beings. I don't buy it. Human beings are the worst. Human beings are the worst. You think? Human beings. Human beings are the worst. I don't buy it. Human beings are the worst. It's not a great line, but I'm going to leave it for the moment. Okay, now this one, George's spirit cries out from the grave, and then Madeline's going to say George is dead, and she's saying that like, okay, no, seriously, you guys have got to stop this. Also, there's sort of a tricky thing here. Madeline's argument, Madeline is arguing not to tell the police. Xena is also arguing not to tell the police, but she's arguing we're going to investigate. Madeline's just saying we just walk away. See, all of this is an argument for telling the police. Should they tell the police? That's an interesting thought. I've been really mulling this. Is that I get into like this is what I have to get to. I have to get to there going up against the killer alone. But maybe they shouldn't. Maybe they should tell the police. That is an interesting question. How? This is interesting because in a way, in the podcast, with the podcast, Hmm. There's one other thing we have to figure out. Who did kill George and why? Hmm. Hello, Mythical. How are ya? I am glad to be back. Hi, Maisie. Good to see you. Um, I have got a lot of juggling. There's a lot of balls in the air right now, and one of the things that I got to do is make sure they all come together in this last scene. Um, and I'm recognizing that I haven't quite figured out. Yeah, Maria is going exactly where I was thinking. If they do tell the police, it's just crazy if they don't tell the police. And the police tells them to back off and let them handle it. But well, first of all, they are still targets, so that they can't back off. They are potential victims. Um, Cream pie Lars, no, you can't, and you are banned. All right. Okay. So. Um, Yeah, what Maria is getting at is exactly what I'm thinking of. Is I think they do have to tell the police. Um, I'm going to have to. I have to. Here, general plot note. Are they debating telling the police, or um, see that? Because the thing is, if or doing the podcast, or hunting the killer, because those are three different issues, three different choices. Yes, 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 yes. Madeline's deer in headlights stare. uh, so the point here is that Madeline is signing on to the podcast. This probably has to come another time. Oh, so this probably has to happen. Another time. Yeah, oh, like Natasha and Maria are just catching up here. Cool. This is great. This is great. Um, it's funny when you do a story about a murder like that. Usually the main character takes all the burden, and the police are there to mop up afterwards. Yes, this is actually one of the biggest problems that you have to solve in any amateur person um, fighting a killer story is why don't they go to the police, or why don't the police believe them, or why can't they go to the police because they're guilty of something themselves. Whatever it is, you need to do to figure that out. um, yes, exactly. i think that I think the plan becomes they do the podcast and they tell the police, but because they are targets, they also have to hunt. And Hey, Gregors. Okay. Boom. We are banning. Uh, Maria is arguing. We are not going to get into that. Yeah. Thank you. Don't get distracted. Trolls. The trolls. Their wits are. Yeah. Let's definitely. Yeah. Let's definitely not get into that. It's just not relevant to what we are doing. Um, that's the main thing. That's the main thing. Whether right and wrong doesn't matter. Relevant and irrelevant is my call. Okay. How cool, Maria. You got this stuff going on. Man, you guys are doing stuff. Okay, so this is good. Where? Okay. George wouldn't want us to. Oh, Madeline. There you go. There. All right, let's see. Reassuring and yet and condescending. Not to pull away. Okay. Boom. Banned. Okay. Wow. How did we get the trolls today? I actually think this is all the same troll, but okay. Okay, I do have a query. I write period pieces 40s to early 70s. Cool. I don't want to be hindered in my writing by what others may think about how I feel as times were different. Is that your query to me? My answer would be this is tricky. You do want to your characters to behave as proper to their historical moment, which means they will. The fact that they treat each other badly does not mean that the story treats them badly. I don't know if you know what I'm saying. You can show, for instance, Mad Men. One of the things about Mad Men, which is a really good example of this, you're watching sexism and racism and all sorts of isms at work, but you're also seeing the effect it has on the people who are being oppressed by it or the people who are being hurt by it, the people who are being kept out of the executive suite. So yes, you can have these people say these things, but you can't have the story support that, if you know what I mean. In other words, your vision does not have to be, and unless that's your vision. If you truly want to say, I believe what they believed in the 40s or the 70s, there you go. Then you have to say what you want to say. But I think the important thing to do when you're writing history is to have your people be in the historical period, but that doesn't mean that you will necessarily take that attitude in what you choose to portray. Yeah, well, so far we're good. So, should I care about that or just write my feelings the way I see it for the times? I do not think you should care. And one of the worst things I think is trying to. And I was just watching something where I was thinking, oh, that is not viable. Oh, The Offer. There's a Paramount Plus. It's actually not a great show. It's kind of terrible, but it's set in the 1970s because it's about the making of The Godfather. And one of the things that's really annoying about it is people keep using language that is without question from our time. They use little phrases and attitudes, but especially phrases, which are just completely inaccurate to the 70s and very much of our time. And I keep thinking, oh, just take a second. You're not trying, your relevance is not by making the people anachronistic, by making the people contemporary. Your relevance is by having your show have a relevant understanding of the history. That is my belief. Yes, it is. That was a good question, Najo. I liked it. Okay. Okay. Format. And I'm going to, no. What is this? Format, alignment. There we go. Okay, centered. Boom. Okay. There we go. Yeah, Bridgerton's an interesting example because in one way it's a cool statement to say I'm going to rethink this historical period and make it. But the point about that is that Bridgerton is not really a historical piece; it's a contemporary piece. It's a play on the romance genre. But if you are actually trying to set your story in an actual time, you can't do what Bridgerton did in language or, frankly, in casting. It's just that's a choice you have to make. I'm not saying either choice is right or wrong. Hamilton was amazing. Bridgerton is a lot of fun. The second season, I think, is a lot better than the first. But anyway, my point is you need to choose if you are going to try to accurately represent the historical period or not. Yeah. It is their own, yes, exactly. I've never seen American Hustler. But yes, this is a very fine line because, like, technically, like Spartacus, first of all, they would be speaking Latin, um, and so what they did was they just had English actors because English seemed more historical than. But yeah, there is a certain amount of untruth to anything we do historically. But I do think that making things deliberately break the period, that's a artistic choice in which you are saying, don't take this seriously as history. It is a contemporary piece. And which Bridgerton does well. I like what Bridgerton does. I just don't think that's the same as The Godfather, working in the 40s and being very careful that nobody was saying anything from the 70s. So, okay. So I'm still going to have to go back over this and, all right. Oh, this is cool. Watch this. Clean. Look at that. Now, he's going to realize that call was a mistake. Gave him, see, this is what we do. Now this scene makes sense. Gave us more reason to hunt him and new ways to do it. And new ways to do it. And he's not in it, so he's going to want to. He's not an idiot. We're going to give this line to Norman, who has not spoken enough. Look at that. Look at that. Okay. Yeah. Also, if the producers, I mean, if the producer is saying like you can't have a character say that, then you can't do the historical piece. You can fudge things, like you can. There's no reason for somebody to be outrageously awful unless that's their character. But if it's their character, I don't think anyone's going to be offended because the point is, and this is tricky because once again we're getting out of writing and into politics. We're getting into the question of whether or not a work of art should be purely making good statements. I don't personally believe it works that way. Very often, a work of narrative art will have a character do terrible things or say terrible things because they are in the wrong. And we as an audience will feel outrage at what they're doing is wrong. Some people feel outraged that it's even mentioned in the script. That's a very tricky call. I think that thinking in the Mad Men terms is probably the way to do it. Same as characters of a time in a very niche community for its time. It's awkward to write. Yes, yeah, but that's what's so exciting about those things is that you're getting an insight. You're saying, oh my God, look at how they were. Hopefully, look at how we have changed. Look at what happened. I mean, the beginning of Mad Men, the very first scene of Mad Men is Don Draper in a bar, and he's trying to figure out a new slogan for a cigarette company. So first of all, he's helping a cigarette company, which the whole point about that scene was to say, hey audience, look back in time and realize that this time, which was both glamorous in some ways, was also horrible in others. And then he has this discussion with the waiter. He's asking the waiter about his relationship to cigarettes. The waiter is an older black man. And there's a really ugly dynamic because the waiter can't say what he wants to say. And this is actually in the script. If you read the pilot, it's very clear that what Matt Weiner is trying to say is we are going to be taking on these issues. We are going to be telling a story which is not just, oh, wasn't it great back then? But it doesn't do it, but in doing it, it has to show the bad behavior. Or the thoughtless behavior. Anyway, yeah, and smoking will change your rating, but I think that's okay. All right, this just got a little better, just a little better. We're all human beings. Human being is not a defense now. This line is not going to. Yeah, what we don't. we just don't. We just don't want him to keep reaching. That was then. This is now. That was then. This is now. I don't know if you've seen, I have written, not only have I written a lot of different versions of this line in the past hour, but the difference in the versions of the line is not just what they say, it's what he intends. Like, what is his message? What is he trying to say? Is he trying to say, I don't like your human being line, like your human being attitude? Or, in this case, I just changed it to, whatever he was doing, things have changed. Okay. Yeah, and there are many subtle choices you can make by. There's no reason not to steer away from showing stereotypical things that don't have anything to do with the plot. You don't want to enforce negative imagery uh, without commenting on it, without steering the audience to understand the negative imagery. It's a tricky thing. There's been a lot of good historical work in the past 4 or 5 years which does deal with this. Um, like writing a dramatic. Yeah, that is absolutely true. It's good. That's a good idea. I'm reading a Louis L'Amour, the high graders. I didn't know what high graders meant. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, that's the other interesting thing about either writing something historical or reading something from another period is the the is the mental work you have to do to understand another time. Um, uh, yeah, yeah. No, but I was working. I was trying to go there, and I still might. Nobody's that human. Nobody's that human. Beings suck. I'm just going to put these in as also human beings. Also human beings suck. That's it. There we go. That was then. This is now. Also, human beings suck. But what if we just walk away? This is not bad. Cool. Last video arcade. My guess is the last video arcade lasted until the 90s, but I could be wrong. I do not know. Yeah, cool. By the way, Anthony, great idea. So, you know what, guys? I think we're actually at the end. We have reached the end of the rough draft, the first rewrite. We have reached the first. Thank you, Maria. We're getting there. We're getting it. We're getting these lines to work. All right, and this is going to come out, and I'm going to have to read through the whole thing because the when you get these things with like lots of different angles, different people talking with different points of view, you need to step away and then come back. But this is definitely going better. We have completed a pass. And this is a really cool idea. It's something to just keep in mind. Passes. It's the phrase that professional writers use when they talk about going through the script again and again. Every time they do it, it's a pass, as in you pass through it. You don't always have to do every part of it in a pass. You could just say, I'm going to do a pass on the first act or whatever. But the idea that you keep going over it, that is what we are doing, and we just done it. Cool. All right. So listen, it's great to be back. I will be back tomorrow, I believe. Let me just double check my calendar. Okay. Yeah, tomorrow. Tomorrow. I will indeed be here. And the Sorkin dialogue would run about an extra 4 lines. But yes, thank you. I got that. You mean the Sorkin dialogues when you have all these different people. Yes, that he can pull that off. Especially, I have to say, the newsroom had its ups and downs, but some nice work in the newsroom. Anyway, yeah. So listen, it's great to be back. I am very happy to be here, and so guys, I will see you tomorrow, which means you should go write something.